Yep, Ian is known for some interesting techs in his decks. He has bodied me a few times with just the wildest things, but that just speaks to the amount of time that he puts into the game.
All right, let us see here the prize cards. Nothing in the prizes for Ian, but double V-Star for Isaiah there.
All right, and the Zigzagoon, that can be awkward.
Oof. Yeah, the Zigzagoon is a very versatile card in this matchup, specifically just being able to hit numbers that you don't normally get.
Isaiah is playing the 3 Arceus V-Star, so he will have access to 1. Finding it might be a problem. Let's go ahead and see what happens here in round 13.
Ian is going first. They both start the Arceus V in the active, and we'll see a level ball to start things off here. Gonna grab that Sobble, get things going for next turn, and we'll have to see if they have a plan in mind. I'm pretty sure Galarian Zapdos V will rear its head. Good card. Good card. Great card.
Can't find it with level ball, but you know what? A lot of different cards will get you there. Arceus V-Star, Drizzile, all these different pieces eventually combine together and get you just about anything you want. And we saw in the prize cards that Ian is not going to have any issues with any of those big 3 in his deck.
And the biggest thing for Ian, too, he also plays 2 Training Court instead of the Path to the Peak that a lot of players are opting to play in combination with Arceus. So even if Isaiah tries to slow things down a little bit, Ian does have a counter stadium to kind of get things going.
Yeah, we're so used to players just trying to stick that peak, and if you're not worried about it and you have the training courts, you give yourself access to all these different resources later on. And even just having the counter stadium to a Path to the Peak so that you can use your V-Star when you want to, not worry about the awkwardness of that back and forth, that can be very clutch.
Oh no, talk about awkwardness here. You got an energy from Isaiah and just a pass of the turn here.
Oh, that's not how you Pokemon.
Well, I guess the good news is you don't really fear getting knocked out from Ian's side of things. That double turbo energy is going to make that Trinity Nova deal 180 damage. So even with a choice belt, you're going to be 10 off. And Ian doesn't play that Galarian Zigzagoon like Isaiah.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right there. Of course, we do have the one quick shooting Inteleon. So if the choice belt were to come out, then we would see 10 short perhaps. If there wasn't an evolution, we already know that 2 V-Star are in the prizes for Isaiah. That could mean an easy knockout, and then just whatever is benched potentially for Isaiah, if he finds anything, would just be knocked out the next turn as well.
The overwhelming advantage that you have in the Arceus v mirror match is going first. Being able to get that Starbirth off before your opponent can really do much of anything. Get that Trinity Nova and get other Pokemon charged up.
All right, well, we'll see if Ian does find them. Of course, one of those big Pokemon to look out for this turn would perhaps be that Galarian Zapdos V. Just having multiple threats on the board, especially when your opponent's just got nothing going on, has to feel good.
Well, we have a Shady Dealings from Drizzile here that's going to fetch a trainer card of Ian's choice. Finds another level ball, gets another Sobble, and we're starting to see the board kind of shape together a little bit. Will we see that Starbirth here?
Oh, looks like just going to go ahead and attack for 180, and I like the split here with just going for the Sobble. Having the Drizzile already, it means that you've got access to either evolution, finding you those cards that you're going to need. Ian notices he doesn't really need to have any other threats currently on board, so just going to take the damage output here now and make sure that he's got some outs, perhaps for hand disruption or anything that may come his way.
Not using the Starbirth will open up a Path to the Peak to maybe stick in play from Isaiah here after using his own Starbirth. But again, the training court might make it a little bit different, and with Drizzile most likely on the way from that Sobble, the whole deck is available to Ian.
Well, this is pretty big. Isaiah was able to find his last Arceus V-Star. He's going to find out now that it was his last one because this is his first deck search. And you know he's going to look diligently to see all of the resources available to him or not. And he is going to be able to pull off that V-Star power. This is going to give him access to some cards. He has a path to the peak in his hand, so he could start to lock Ian out of some potential extra resources too. And this is how you start to turn things around.
It is so tough, though, because the way Isaiah and his testing group built this deck, your main attacker is Arceus V-Star. You don't have anything. There's a Crobat V you can charge to, but you don't play any Dark Energy. It's not really going to be good. And if you don't have any other V-Star and Isaiah's not able to take a knockout before this Arceus V-Star gets knocked out of his own, then are you going to attack with Arceus V? Do 130, 110?
Yeah, you're not a fan of that? I don't think that's exactly what Isaiah's trying to line up here, but honestly, it gets the job done against this Arceus V-Star. If you have to two-piece it, that's where you're at right now, and he's got the math lined up for that. He just needs to find the additional Pokemon here now.
Does look like a professor's research discarding 2 Drizzile. Oh, that is not what you want to see here.
Yep, that is not good at all. And we also see the Sobble hitting the hand as well, so insult to injury there too.
Well, at least it's another Pokemon, but it's not an Arceus that you can charge up. And with that, Isaiah's not really going to be attacking for a while here. We'll need a combination of Melanie and Double Turbo to maybe pull out a knockout. And here we see 210 damage on the opposing Arceus V-Star. No search, and it's rough sailing from here.
Yeah, even getting an energy down onto the board just doesn't feel great. You can, of course, maybe give yourself an energy to retreat at some points, but you're not accomplishing very much. And yeah, Isaiah notices that he's, you know what, I'm going to need all these resources later on. Let's just get through.
Training Court right away bumps that path to the peak. That Starbirth ability is now able to be used, and it's the first thing Ian wants to do. Search that deck for 2 cards.
Yeah, I feel like Ian was definitely hinting at this when he didn't use his V-Star ability on the last turn. Yeah, it almost definitely meant that he had a Stadium ready to go, and he was prepared for this counter turn.
Looks like maybe the Quick Shooting Inteleon is one of the cards. I didn't see the other card there, but getting that Quick Shooting down early is very beneficial, and there you go. Galarian Zapdos V was the other card, Cape of Toughness, and this is the kind of combo we see against Arceus V decks, and it's really just almost impossible to deal with, especially the board state right now.
Yeah, this is absolutely nasty because not only are you going to have this big threat, you don't even have to worry about the energies. They're coming down from the Arceus V-Star very soon. So Ian's going to have everything that he needs. He's also got a ton of board development right now in that Inteleon. Yeah, this is just going to be a disaster for Isaiah to figure out. He doesn't have anything going on his board. Who's going to attack next turn? It's rhetorical. He's going to lose.
Sobble to the active. 2 Drizzile already in the discard. And looking at Isaiah's hand, there's a few energy, big charm, not really much to deal with. And wow, yeah, those prizes, very bad. But even with those prizes, I don't think this game was kind of winnable.
Yeah, this is so tough. And for Isaiah, now you start to think about the strategy piece of it. He's got 28 match points. He's probably looking for a tie. If he plays a really long game too, and he ends up coming out on top with against Ian, who has one of those 3 big pieces prized, that's a way that he can come out and win this game. It's very hard to win a match like this when you have the cards stacked against you like this. Of course, Isaiah's a great player. He could probably figure this out if he needed to. It just doesn't look like it's going to happen in game 1.
Oh, not at all. Quick Ball discarding the Double Turbo energy, gets the Arceus V, but with 2 Sobble down on Ian's side of things, he has to have a way to search for that boss's orders to take that knockout, and it's really just a ton of pressure. That Galarian Zapdos V, 3 energy on it, not even really playing around like its ability, just like, I'm going to charge up 4 energy on this thing eventually, and it's just going to knock out anything you'll put in the active.
Yeah, you don't have to worry about path with that card. You can just have all of the energies manually attached at this point. You'll be fine.
Well, there is the attachment of the water, big charm on that Arceus V on the bench. Training court brings back another water, path to the peak, and a Marnie. So a little bit of disruption here. It's all really Isaiah can hope for. It's still not the best.
I mean, he's doing everything he needs to. He has the Sobble that is likely going to hit the discard pile on the following turn, and now he's just thinking ahead. This is a pretty nice card to find off the Marnie and that Bidoof. Maybe that starts to open up the draws, and then he can start piecing together this really awkward puzzle with Arceus Vs.
Yeah, but I don't know how you're going to deal with that 250 HP Galarian Zapdos V on the bench. It's kind of just sitting there saying, hey, did you forget about me?
You ever had that exam at the end of classes and you're just like, you know what, we'll deal with it when we get there? That's currently right now we're reading the syllabus, okay? We don't have any time to think about stuff like that.
Oh, what a Marnie from Ian here. Has double Drizzile, finds the energy search to get that fourth energy on the Zapdos, and the boss's orders to bring up the Arceus. We're going to see a retreat from the active and a clean knockout.
All right, we're taking the final, and it is definitely a big one.
And yeah, there is no attackers for Isaiah's side of things. I mean, you can roll out with Bidoof for 10 with a double turbo. Seems.
You know, you're thinking outside of the box right now. That's what we like to see.
At least do it for the fans, you know?
Oh, of course.
Everyone loves Bidoof.
All right. Isaiah doesn't care about the fans. I see how it goes. Yep, that's going to be game one for Ian Robb, and that's pretty much what we were thinking comes down to these matchups. If you have those big three pieces, honestly, who cares about the cape at that point? There were no Pokemon that were going to knock out that Galarian Zapdos at any point in time, and Ian was prepared for cards like this, matches like this, and this is exactly where he wants to be. 29 match points, and he's eyeing 3 more with just 1 more win here in round 13.
And of course, the way Ian built his deck too is there's a lot of different safeguards for if something does go wrong. If you don't have that Cape of Toughness and the Galarian Zapdos V gets knocked out, you can just Clara back the pieces and you got it right again.
Yeah, no, Clara is a fantastic piece, and we usually don't see it in many decks at all, and we see 2 in this list. So just having access to these cards over and over again, it's mainly because you want to have that Galarian Moltres, the baby one, for the Mew matchup to bring it back over and over again. But honestly, in matches like this, it could be very successful.
And we see that didn't even really need a lot of stuff. You got that attack with that Arceus V-Star, charged up the Zapdos, and with Isaiah stumbling, it was just easy pickings. And now just 1 game win away from punching their ticket to top 8 here.
Well, there's plenty of time right now, and both of these players have an opportunity to come out on top. We know it is as easy as some prize cards here for Isaiah to be playing a very fair matchup. So we'll have to see what comes out here. We've also seen Ian having an awkward struggle with finding an active Pokemon and giving a lot of mulligans. I don't think he's going to have that issue this time around, though.
All right. Do see a Sobble in the hand, so that's a Pokemon to start with, and these are big prizes. Fighting energy in the prizes.
It's as easy as that. That's how it goes. And having it in the middle means that he's going to have to take at least 3 prize cards, most likely, if he draws in that regular order that players normally do.
And going first really benefits Isaiah here as well. Can get that first Arceus V-Star up and running. Although we did see 2 Arceus V in the prizes.
You know, honestly, after the way that that game 1 went for Isaiah, I feel like he doesn't really care. As long as he has 2 Arceus V-Stars rolling in this matchup, he's going to be able to perform everything that he wants to with his deck.
And with the level ball, that is another Sobble to get down, and that's one thing we didn't see from the first game is those Sobbles be able to hit the board and get the engine going. That's the biggest thing for all these Inteleon decks. You really need to build your bench with these Sobbles. That way you just have access to anything you'll need for the rest of the game.
Yeah, absolutely. It's so crucial, and we've seen so many decks working in that Battle VIP pass, trying to get all of their Pokemon down. It's just so great to have the ball engine. Again, you have all of these different ways to search out quick balls, level balls, ultra balls. You can get all of these different Pokemon in play so early, and then all of those eventually turn into Drizziles, which turn into anything you want. And that's how you win games here.
We'll have to see if Isaiah is going to be able to do that. Down a game, we'll have double Sobble, needs an energy. That's the big thing. You don't want to force yourself to Melanie to try to get that Trinity charge up next turn. And we see in his hand, does have plenty.
Yeah, it's certainly difficult, and it's not ideal for this deck. There's only one Melanie, and maybe a Raihan sometimes. We don't see it in this one, but just getting those energies in play, you have to get them on the opening turns, because afterwards Arceus is going to just charge up all of your other Arceus, and you'll be fine.
I'm also just surprised that Ian's able to start Arceus so frequently. Only plays a 2/2 line in his deck.
That's actually pretty impressive. Yeah, I hadn't really thought about that. And normally you do see players end up starting that Sobble. They go for a keep calling and they play it a little slower. If you have that Arceus to start, things can get wild really fast.
It all depends on a double turbo energy to maybe get some quick energy acceleration. And you see there with Ian searching the deck for the first time, he noticed it. Oh no, my fighting's pressed.
I'm a sad lad. Oh, he might be more sad than we thought. That's the turn.
That is a big turn too, because looking through, Isaiah does have Choice Belt in the deck. I didn't see it in the prizes, and so with an Arceus V-Star, we'll be able to pull together. Oh no, with the double turbo would be short. Would need the Zigzagoon. Yeah,
this is nice by Isaiah. He throws away the path because he understands that this is a really big pivotal turn for him. If you are playing against a full Ian Robb fighting deck, you are going to be in trouble. So he's playing like it currently is, that he doesn't know that there is a fighting energy in the prize card, so he could slow down. But honestly, you get that Arceus V-Star, you could maybe get a knockout here with the Zigzagoon in combination with your Choice Belt.
I think he has it. You Ultra Ball for the V-Star, you Starburst for the Double Turbo and the Galarian Zigzagoon. The Choice Belt's already in hand, and that's going to be a huge knockout.
Oh, this is absolutely ridiculous. It's everything that Isaiah wants, and he was missing in that opening game. You were already talking about with those Arceus V, it's going to be tough to find one more in order to charge these energies onto a relevant Pokemon, but who cares when you're taking a big turn 2 knockout here, leaving your opponent with just a Sobble.
Oh, there it is, the exact combination of cards Isaiah needed to take the knockout here. And this is why that Galarian Zigzagoon is in the deck. It's to reach those numbers that Double Turbo kind of like prevents you.
Yeah, it's such a great drawback in the reduction of 20, but you have so many different amplifiers that you can just bring it right back up. And every player who's at this stage knows exactly what pieces of math you need to hit in order to come out on top in these exchanges. And it's working out flawlessly for Isaiah here. Also, finding that Arceus V, going to have so many different Pokemon in this match.
There's the energy search. Fixing the watch a little.
Don't want to cut off the circulation. I understand that.
Again, noticing, yeah, fighting's prized. I don't know if there's really a good comeback in this game. It's going to be at least 3 turns before you even take a prize, really.
All right, I play 1 fighting. It's not in here, so it's in the prizes.
There's the dark energy. We could see a keep calling. It might be the best route, but again, it's just so slow.
Yeah, and honestly, this is a spot that Ian's deck is accustomed to falling into. It's why it's built with those different Galarian Moltres and Moltres V. You have those comeback mechanisms built in, but how do you come back when you only have a Sobble right now?
We're going to see the evolution. So Shady Dealings will now allow Ian to grab what looks like a Marnie here, and is going to need to find some more basic Pokemon.
Yeah, when you need like 13 pieces to feel good and you only can get 5, it's tough. And you don't get to pick any of them. This is not a spot that Ian likes to be in, because normally you have a few more Sobble, you get a few more things going, and it looks like he does have the Sobble now, has the energy as well, so Keep Calling will likely be the choice here. And going to use that Marnie, Drizzile is going to the bottom of the deck, but of course you're just going to shuffle right back with that Keep Calling. Maybe you can find some good cards on the follow-up.
Maybe a couple more Sobble.
No, stop, don't do that. Why would he?
Oh, no!
Why? That's not okay.
Maybe I should just stop talking. Pal, you're a solo cast now.
Oh, I'll do my best. Well, he called for family, basically. Here's one more friend. Ian will have access to plenty of Drizzile in the following turns now because of all these Sobble onto the bench. It's going to be down 3 prizes, though, and that doesn't feel very good, especially if Isaiah starts to get all of these energies accelerated onto the second Arceus V.
And this is the thing with Pokemon. You can have the best matchup in the world. You can tech for all the matchups that you want, but those prize cards will come back to haunt you sooner or later. And especially with all of these decks playing very low counts of these cards.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's just the name of the game. You get 60 cards, and you have to make every single one of them count. And it's tough because you're trying to make it work, but how many cards can you honestly get in to work in every single matchup? Ian has figured out a great way to take out a bunch of different styles, but he's going to run out in some facets.
There's an Evolution Incense. Eyeing down that Inteleon, maybe no, just decides to fail it, and we'll see a knockout eventually.
This looks pretty clean from Isaiah. Just going to continually set up that board, make sure that both evolution lines are available in order to draw out or continue to push this advantage. Thinking already ahead about this Zigzagoon now, too. Gonna scoop up net. Just wants to leave the bench spaces open. That's tricky.
Hey, you don't really need it right now, at least with the board state the way it is. You're going to have a pretty big lead, and I guess you have to think the fighting might be prized, but there has been no real good instance for that Galarian Zapdos V to come down on the board right now, only with 1 V in play.
Right. And that's something that Isaiah is also constantly thinking about as well. If there is nothing currently pressuring me and my Arceus V, then what's the point of benching multiple Arceus Vs in play? Only one right now seems to be that nice number. Multiple energies being extended on Ian's side is kind of difficult at times.
And there you see the knockout on that active Sobble. Path to the Peak is in play. Won't really matter. There's no Arceus. I guess it stops something like a Galarian Moltres V from being able to charge itself up. But 3 energy on the benched Arceus V, and now with 2 attackers ready to go, Isaiah is in full control of this game.
Yep, gets that extra scoop up net out of the prize cards. That was something that Isaiah was also probably thinking about with the Zigzagoon. He only plays 2 scoop up net. Getting some use out of it is going to be difficult if one's in the prizes, and he wasn't thinking he was going to get it off that prize.
We see a Drizzile off the level ball, Shady Dealings 4, and Air Balloon for the active. So able to free retreat and do some more things here, but what do you even have access to? Palpad will shuffle in the Marnie and Boss, but it's going to be a rough turn.
Yeah, any way that Ian figures out a relevant attack here is going to have to come in combination with Training Court and some form of energy acceleration onto his Galarian Zapdos. Because, and here we go. So here's the Training Court. It means that the ability for his Galarian Zapdos V is now live again. Only 2 energy need to be on that Pokemon in order for it to get a big knockout on this Arceus V-Star. Can he find the pieces to put it together? He does have the Drizziles available as well to start to find those extra pieces as well. Finds the level ball, it looks like, and that's a Drizzile.
That is being able to go through the deck, but
is that Energy Search?
I don't think so.
This is the game where he has a fighting energy prize, right? How's he going to work this out? It's got to be an Arceus, right? Or well, I guess you could just start working in your Galarian Moltres at this point, and maybe you can get a 2-shot here on the Arceus V-Star, and then that may land you the fighting energy, and it seems like that's going to be the strategy here for Ian. He does see that his opponent has taken 3 prize cards already, so we're looking at about 150 damage here, and that's going to be a 2-shot if Ian can continue to bring these Galarian Moltres into play.
It is the one route Ian has this entire game. Unfortunately, the fighting is in the middle of the prizes, though, so it's going to be rough if he doesn't kind of like switch it up.
Yeah, he's got to play to his outs, of course. He doesn't know where it is. He's going to just try to take prizes and stay in this game. But this is a very tough spot to be in.
Ultra Ball will be the play for Isaiah there. Most likely finding another V-Star, could also find something like an Inteleon to keep things going. And did discard that last scoop-up net that he found from the prizes.
Yep, Isaiah should be, at this point, realizing that his opponent does not have that Zapdos.
Oh, yeah.
So this third Arceus hitting the bench seems pretty fair. There is something wrong on the other side. Let's take advantage of it.
Oh, and we see a big Marnie here, too. Going to disrupt Ian's hand. Already has 2 Drizzile in play, so he's going to be a little taxed on resources.
No, you're absolutely right, and that's so big because Ian is playing that 4-4-1-1 line, so finding your Shady Dealings Inteleon is going to be pretty tricky, and getting one of those last few Drizzile can be tough, especially when you're only seeing 4 cards with that 5th on the top deck.
Second Arceus V-Star comes down for Isaiah. It's what he needs right now. Most likely trying to retreat into that attacker, just kind of save those couple prizes.
Yeah, we see the big charm as
well.
No. We'll see if that is enough to protect this Arceus V-Star for an extra turn.
It's a little risky, though, but you do have access to stuff like Boss's Orders to really clean up the game. But yeah, it's...
You know, I see what you're saying there, because especially when you get the read that your opponent is prizing one of those Galarian Zapdos V pieces, you don't want to open up the door for a two-hit knockout here, and then Ian finds those pieces and sneaks back in with the fighting and the Zapdos.
Yeah, with a single Clara, the Galarian Moltres can attack again thanks to the Training Court in play, as long as there's 3 Dark in the discard, which I do believe there is. And with that, would be able to take the knockout, and then if he finds the fighting energy, who knows?
Yeah, I mean, we are talking about 2 prize cards for Isaiah. They are lined up pretty nicely for him, because he will have this knockout on the 2B Galarian Moltres that could come back, and then just any Boss's Orders on one of these pieces of the Inteleon line would clean the game up for him. So Isaiah can feel comfortable if he does lose this Arceus V-Star. It's not where you want to be, but you're playing Pokemon. You're going to lose some cards sometimes.
Well, here is the Evolution Incense for that Shady Dealings Inteleon. So 2 trainer cards will hit Ian's hand. He chooses a Clara so far. It's one of the cards that's needed, and hopefully something to do for next turn as well. But really on the back foot here, and has been this entire game, just thanks to that fighting being prized.
Yeah, Ian thinking about next turn already, because he has no real way to search out anymore from this point. So if he does need combination pieces, which he is absolutely going to need, not only does he need to find the fighting energy out of his prize cards this turn, but he's going to need to find the Zapdos, including the Cape of Toughness, and then maybe some kind of hand disruption or something, so that Isaiah doesn't have that Boss's Orders ready to go.
Well, there is that Galarian Moltres V, 3 energy, all charged up on the bench, ready to go and take the knockout. And it's just rough. Like this position, it's kind of like a checkmate position from Isaiah here. It has potentially access to Drizzile, and then just 2 attackers that can cleanly knock out anything on the board.
So Ian gets the bad news. He did not get his fighting energy.
Yep.
I want to also note that there was a cute play by Isaiah in leaving that Arceus V-Star. Because it's knocked out, that means that just the Moltres, or the Galarian Zapdos coming down, it will need to have energy acceleration as well.
That is true, yeah.
Because now there's 1 less Pokemon V in play.
Yeah, heads up playing, especially when Ian's at the 6 prizes. And really just playing this game to the best of Isaiah's ability. And it's really showing here, but it's, again, just all thanks to that fighting energy prize.
Watch him just put down another Arceus V.
Like, you're wrong, Kyle. You're wrong.
No, I like this. This is great.
Looks like Sobble will be the choice from this quick ball, but really just thinning the deck out. Could possibly even discard it with something like a Professor Juniper here.
Yep. Getting thin, thinking about 2 more turns in this game to close things out, get it to a 1-1 match score. And Isaiah has to be thinking, I can't believe we got to this stage. I was going to walk into this Galarian Zapdos and lose an easy 2-0, and here I am. I'm on top.
And I think looking at the hand for Isaiah as well, it does look like there's a boss's orders in there. So with no disruption coming from Ian, it's going to be game over, especially with no fighting energy.
All right.
It's just so rough.
Let's think. Nope, I don't see it. I'm trying to figure out maybe if there's one way, but yeah, of course, with that prize card taken, that takes a lot off of the board here. We do see the Zapdos. It is scary, but it doesn't have any way to attack right now.
All right, we got that Marnie. That's step 1 of a million. And boss's orders goes to the bottom of the deck, but with access to a possible Inteleon or Drizzile, it's just game over.
Yep.
And yep.
Nope, Ian understands that that is not how this is going to work. 20 minutes left on the clock. Plenty of time for either one of these players to come out with 3 match points here. Once again, want to remind you, everybody at home, that these players have 29 points in Ian, 28 for Isaiah. They're looking for likely 32, 3 for a win, 1 for a tie right now. So Isaiah probably okay with a tie. Would love to have a win here. He could ID and find his way into the top 8 here in Salt Lake. Or Ian winning this game right now, where he is currently favored if he has all of his pieces, will likely lock up his top 8 slot here.
And it's so important how winning that opening coin flip does for this matchup too. Being able to actually go into game 3 and you have that first turn advantage. Hopefully get that Arceus V-Star out first and get things rolling.
Yeah, you think about how awkward it is for Isaiah. If he's in a situation where he's staring down an Arceus V with an energy on it, that's going to turn into a V-Star. He doesn't have his own V-Star ready to go because he's going second. And does he play the path? Does he not? How do you make a decision like that, knowing that you could lock yourself out of all of your game-winning cards, just trying to slow down Ian even the slightest?
We're going to have to see if that happens here. Game 3, if Ian wins, most likely confirmed for top 8. If Isaiah wins, we'll still need an ID to get that confirmation. And again, we're saying confirmation, but it's a loose confirmation. It's just us walking around, seeing who's doing well, who's at what points.
Yeah, this is us with an abacus, just trying to slide everything over left and right to see if these players are getting it a cut.
Oh man, I haven't used abacus in a while.
You're not an ancient Roman mathematician?
Hey, abacuses are fun. They're easy to count with.
Okay, those are not bad cards in the prizes.
Yeah, not at all that one Galarian Moltres V, but that has been a no-show in this matchup so far. A couple dark energy and that water to go along with it. Maybe we'll see some energy problems early game for Ian, but blazing fast start here. Quick ball, level ball, get that Arceus V down, Sobble down. And if they have an energy, it's pretty good.
Yeah, no, this is exactly the kind of pace that I expect from Ian. When he knows that the game is on the line, he is working his way towards finding those 3 match points in order to lock up top 8. He's going to be throwing these cards left and right. He knows exactly what to do. He's got all of the abilities to do this so fast. He's been playing for so long. He knows exactly where these cards are going.
Right now, it is Bidoof against the world here. Isaiah needs to get a good turn to get that advantage for himself, and it probably starts with maybe a Trinity charge.
Yep, this is pretty tricky because you have to make decisions if you're Isaiah. Are you going to go for your attackers early, or are you going to try to go for that setup engine in the Sobble so that you have some consistency later on? It just depends on what strategy is going to be best here. You're already staring down likely an Arceus V-Star on the second turn.
Ultra Ball did find that Arceus V, discards a Water and a Drizzle to go along with it. So a card like Melanie can be live. He does play one in the list. And looking through, the only real way to get out of the active spot is those 2 scoop up nets. So we'll have to draw it here if he wants to get a good attack off to charge up another Arceus V, but at least having the Melanie is a good start.
Yeah, I mean, getting the energy acceleration is one thing that Ian is not accustomed to seeing on the other side. This deck doesn't accelerate energies unless it's by way of Arceus most of the time. So Isaiah finding that way, but it doesn't look like he's going to find a way into the active spot here.
Thankfully, Isaiah did have a Sobble at least. You never want to pass a turn without one of those on your bench.
Yep, he did throw away a Drizzile, but usually that means that you've got access to something else. He did see a few cards off of the Melanie too, so could have some answers here. But speaking of answers, Ian has all of the answers. He's got an air balloon already on his active Pokemon. Arceus V-Star ready to come down and start wreaking havoc.
Not to mention, you know, Professor Research for 7 cards.
Pretty good.
I would say great.
Well, Sobble also coming down. That means that Ian is going to have a lot more ways to search things out. And here is the big guy.
Starbirth going to find most likely Cape of Toughness, and honestly, that's all you really need.
It could be a ham and cheese sandwich at this point. Yeah, he doesn't need anything else. The Cape, and then charging these energies onto his Galarian Zapdos V by way of Trinity Nova, knocking out Bidoof, the unsung hero of Isaiah's deck, is going to be pretty nice.
A level ball just to find another Sobble for good measure, and a scoop up net to go along with it. Drizzle in hand for next turn. Ian looks to have this game already wrapped up from the early goings. It is going to be very hard to knock out that Zapdos V with that Cape of Toughness.
Yeah, this is nightmare scenario for Isaiah. He's faced situations like this before. He's got 13 minutes to figure it out.
Well, that clock is going to go a lot faster than Ian would like to. Really just wants to close out this game. Now that you have this kind of just checkmate board position, you're going to be able to take knockouts pretty easily on anything that Isaiah is going to bring up here.
Yeah, I don't think it gets any better than this. If you had to pick a board state to have, maybe there'd be a choice belt on your active, but other than that, this is exactly where you want to be.
Now, Isaiah did miss a path to the peak on his first turn to maybe stop the Starbirth, but even with Ian's hand, that Professor's Research really just filled it together, having the scoop up net, Drizzles to even search for the stadium if you want to, and just, it's been a really just classic way that Ian built his deck and the way it seems to function.
Yep, Ian knows what he's doing. He's got all of these matchups in mind when he was signing up for the event. And this is just absolutely a beautiful performance. He's going to likely be locking his way into top 8 before the last round because of all of the work that he put in beforehand. And some pretty good play in the middle.
Well, Starbirth did find 2 cards for Isaiah there. Oh, Path to the Peak is one of them. Ultra Ball will probably find another Arceus just so you can get an attacker charged up. Corbat, maybe draw some cards. But again, that's just another V in play. Yeah,
and I mean, at this point, don't really have to worry about that with the Zapdos. Already has 3 energies attached. 1 more manual attachment. We'll be able to work things out. But Isaiah is going to go after the big bad bird. And he has the choice belt as well, going to have some additional damage. Maybe some wild Zigzagoon shenanigans lined up. Could get this bird off of the board. Oh, man, there's one.
There's one, but only 2 scoop up nets, so it's not going to. Oh, yeah, with the belt, yeah.
And do we have a Drizzile? Is this Sobble new?
This Sobble is not new. It was benched last turn. Oh, there is a Drizzle.
Oh, man, here we go.
He broke the combo.
This is the only way that Isaiah is able to take down this Pokemon at this stage in the game. He does not have access to quick shooting. It had to be this combo, and he sure enough did find it absolutely huge. You see his hands just shaking, and has the peak to lock it in at the end. Are you kidding me?
What a play. And this is all enabled by that Melanie turn 1. You don't have to have that double turbo energy to lower your damage output. And because of that, finds that 250 damage to take the knockout. And Ian's going to have to rely on that Clara here.
Yep, we do see it coming down by way of the Drizzile. We also see the Evolution Incense for the second Drizzile. Going to counter the Stadium here in the path to the peak. There are 1, 2, 3 V Pokemon in play. You were talking about that Crobat. It is going to punish right here. The Galarian Zapdos V is here, and it has the fighting energy. That is going to be a return knockout here on the Arceus V-Star.
This is rough, though, because the Melanie is already gone. And you would have to double turbo that Arceus V, meaning you need the 2 scoop up net left in the
No, we're going
deck.
for quick shooting.
Oh, quick shooting. Yeah, that's right.
So Isaiah does have a counter knockout lined up. If he can find the cards, going to start there with that Ultra Ball. Could eye up that quick shooting or perhaps just go for that Arceus V-Star right now. He's going to need all of those pieces in combination with the double turbo energy.
I didn't expect this game 3 to be so back and forth.
He's definitely showing the level of play that he has in Isaiah. Ian also prepared for this, has every answer lined up, but Isaiah is working. He knows this is one of his last opportunities to make it into the top 8, showing us everything he's got.
A big Marnie for 5. Double turbo and quick shooting need to be found, or double turbo, double scoop up net.
Oh, this is so tough. He doesn't have access to any other Sobble Drizziles in play right now. He doesn't have that Bidoof because it was knocked out earlier, so no Bibarrel to come down. It's going to have to be by way of these 5 cards he found off the Marnie, and he's playing it pretty slow right now, so that doesn't look very good here.
And I believe the one scoop up net is prized. So
yep.
no out for that. Needs the quick shooting.
Is there another choice belt, perhaps?
No, only the 1 choice belt in the list. Needs that double turbo energy. One's already gone.
Oh, it needed to be the perfect combination of cards off of that Marnie, and we don't see it right now. Training Court finds the energy, the attachment onto the Arceus V. Path to the Peak locked in.
Path could be big.
That was a big piece there.
Or not.
There are 2 training courts in the deck, or is there 3? Or, okay.
So Drizzile coming down, gets that last training court, bumps the Path to the Peak. That's another 2 prizes for Ian here.
Yeah, that has to hurt for Isaiah. Of course, he did exactly what he needed to do to stay in this match by getting the energy onto the Arceus V. If he gets another wild combination of cards, perhaps Professor Research into the V-Star, all of those cards, the quick shooting again, then he can find the knockout on this Zapdos. But Ian will be 1 prize away from locking this match out. And he just found a bunch of energy, too. that opens up different ways by way of that the Galarian Moltres as well. You could get that down and take a knockout out of nowhere, too. So Isaiah is going to have to find every answer here in this hand.
Didn't have it last turn. Trying to do his best right now. Quick Ball discards the Shady Dealings. And Delion, he might have had it if that second scoop up net, or still needed a double turbo too.
Yeah, this is Isaiah understanding his outs. This Galarian Zapdos needs to go away. There is no way that you can make this happen with the other Inteleon. Gonna have to use this Professor's Research. Needs to find the combination of tools. Needs to find that Arceus V-Star, that double turbo. Needs to find that quick shooting to take this Pokemon off the board, and does not find it. That is going to be Ian Robb taking round 13 and getting himself 3 match points to most likely lock up his top 8 spot.
Even having the boss's orders for next turn, so no matter what Isaiah did, it had to have been another Marnie to put that at the bottom. And really just locking it up there. Galarian Zapdos V putting in a ton of work, was kind of absent that game too, just when that fighting energy prized, but really showing up game 3.
Yeah, I mean, that was beautiful. That was everything that we needed to see out of both of these players. Ian showing that if you put in the work on that deck, it is going to help you out. He played that flawlessly. He was in every single situation, even when he didn't have his fighting combinations in game 2, still put up a good showing in Isaiah in game 3. That was exactly what you love to see out of your top tier players.
Oh, it's so heartbreaking though, missing the rest of the cards, but it was 2 cards needed off of that Marnie. It's really hard to get those specific ones in that position. And great play from both players. Ian locking it up, seems like for top 8. Isaiah, I'm not sure if they're going to be able, they can win next round and he can be at 31 match points. And from the way it looks out, that could be in, could not be in. We'll have to see. Yeah, that could definitely land Isaiah on the bubble. You have to think about his resistance. He's playing some amazing players, some players who have a ton of points. So his resistance could figure it out. Obviously, go for that last win, see if you can make it out. But that's all we're going to talk about for Isaiah. It is Ian's time to shine. He has once again found himself winning here on the big stage, and we're going to have our interview lined up with him next. Don't go anywhere.